So this lesson is for week 4, lesson 8. So at this point in your life, you have 4 different factoring methods that you can see on your screen right now. You know how to do greatest common factor, you know difference of squares, you know how to factor trinomials. Depending on who you had for a teacher, you may have been taught the X method or what's called M and A, multiply and add. And just this last lesson, I taught you how to do grouping. There is another method that I'm going to teach you today, and then later in the year there's yet even another method. Okay, so the one that I'm teaching you today, the 5th method, it doesn't really have a name, but it goes along with synthetic division. So let me show you. I'm going to do 2 for you, so don't let this page intimidate you because I'm not going to do them all. But let's try this one up top. Okay, number 1. Now, if you look really close and you try to do grouping on it, it doesn't work because it's 4 terms. You can't do, M and A on it. It can't be difference of squares. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can find, and at this point, it's sort of guess and check. We're going to see if we can find a root, because if we can find a root, then we have a factor. Okay, so I'm just going to take a guess here. I'm going to try -1. I'm going to send it through synthetic division. 1, 4, 5, 2. Okay, so I bring the first number down, I multiply and I add, then I multiply -3 and I multiply and I add, and look at that, it works. I actually have a root. So if this is the root, then one of the factors is x plus 1. Right? Those go hand in hand. And now with this depressed polynomial, I should, by using M and A, I should be able to find the other 2 factors, which are x plus 2 and x plus 1. So let me write those up here as well. Right? And again, these are the same if you really wanted to be kind of cool and efficient and mathematician-y. That's not a word, I just made that up. But anyway, you could write it with an exponent. So we've taken this thing that didn't look like it was factorable, but by finding a root, we did make it factorable. Okay, so we're going to try number 5. It's sort of the same situation. Okay, so, excuse me, it doesn't look like it's factorable, right? At least not with any of the methods that you knew before. All right, so we're going to just try, and okay, here's the thing, guys. I know what the answer is. Like, I have a piece of paper right next to my iPad, and I can tell you what the answer is. You may have to try a couple numbers. It may not just be the first number that you try, if that makes sense. You may have to try to find a root, and it may take 2 or 3 guesses. So I'm going to try 1, and again, I'm cheating because I know what the answer is. So I'm going to put in my numbers for synthetic division. Notice that I'm putting in a 0 for a placeholder. This one's really, really important that you have a 0 placeholder because there is no x term. All right, so then I bring this down, I multiply, which gives me 2, and I add. I multiply, which gives me -1, and I add. I multiply, which gives me -1, and I add, and it works. So then here's my depressed polynomial. I don't know why I just wrote a 2. That should be a 1. All right, and now all I have to do is factor that, right? I'm looking for numbers that multiply to be -2, but add up to be -1, which is -2 and 1, divide by the leading coefficient. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm doing that part quickly. I kind of expect you to be able to factor at this point. So my factors that I get from here are 2x plus 1 and x minus 1. Don't forget, you did get a factor from this root. Okay, it is also x minus 1. So again, if I wanted to write this, efficiently, I would use an exponent, and there would be the 3 factors.